Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lifestyle Trading Podcast, brought to you by TradingHeroes.com. And today I'm very fortunate to have with me a professional trader from Sydney, Australia. His name is Adam Jowett. And I found out about Adam a while back on Twitter, and I've been following his blog for a while now. And I really enjoy reading his humor and his personal experiences about his trading. And he really does have an amazing story on how he became a pro trader. So I'm happy to have him here. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks, Hugh. How you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Awesome.
Good to be around in the Eurozone for a change.
Yeah. I guess a little backstory in this interview. We tried to get together a couple times, and I don't know, we just had a run of bad luck. So I'm really glad that we finally got to sit down.
Yeah, someone's kicked a cat somewhere. I don't know who it was.
Yeah.
I don't think it was me, but someone did. But we got here. That's the main thing.
I guess we could get started with how did you get into trading, and what were you doing before?
I'm a programmer by trade. Not a particularly good one, but I was a programmer. So always around the internet, and 2001 got into some of those completely reliable high yield investment programs that are online, usually run by Russians, usually stealing your money. But they all claim that they earn their money through Forex, so that piqued the interest. I had absolutely no background in trading, none in economics. I've said that on my blog and things a few times. But once you get your head into it and realize the earning potentials, like all newcomers, you think, geez, what am I doing in what I'm doing? I'm going to get a taste of this. So that's how it got me started, but it took a long time before we got to where we are today, that's for sure.
I see. About how long did it take for you to, from when you started to become a professional?
Look, there's two determines of professional for me. It's either professional in terms of I know what I'm doing and I have a plan and this is how I trade, and then there's professional as in this is all I do. So probably 6-7 years to the point where I felt confident I actually could do this all the time. And about 8 years before I could go pro, and that was probably forced upon me a little through other influences. So, but I'm glad it was in the end. Best thing I could have done for sure.
I see. I was reading on your blog recently about how you started with about $5,000 and you kind of had no job. Can you kind of take us through that and how you got from there and you progressed to where you are now?
Yeah, it's a little long-winded in some areas, but anyone who's followed me on Twitter and read the blog knows that I got cancer at age 30. That was back in 2007. I'm amazed at how many traders have either had heart attacks or cancer or something that's got them into trading. It seems like a common trait. Terrible way to get into it, but seems to get them into it. So after that, the idea of working it's not 9 to 5, is it? It's basically all day, every day when you're in the corporate jungle a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Didn't appeal. So being a programmer, I could do it at home. So I did programming at home as a freelancer for a good 3-4 years and traded on the side. That balance shifted slowly towards trading rather than programming continuously. So it just got to the point where I just didn't have the heart or the interest in programming anymore. And I thought, bugger it, I'll have to do this. But look, I'm a better trader than I am property investor. So that's why I only had $5,000 to trade through some bad property investments. And it was kind of the point, right, I either go back to the corporate world and get into that rut again, which with my health history was a terrible idea, or I just bite the bullet and say, bugger it, let's give it a go. Give it a go full time, and that's what I did. Can't say it was the best thing to do. I wouldn't advise it for everyone. But, the trading gods up there basically just keep kicking me up the backside, telling me, come on, you got to do it. There's so many events that keeps pushing me into it. So in the end, I said, all right, I'm listening.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I know you mentioned to me once that you're completely self-taught and you didn't have a mentor or anything. Would you recommend this to people, or do you think people should go out there and find a mentor?
Especially in Forex, it's easy to say you should go out and get a mentor, which if you can find one, man, do it straight away.
Mm-hmm.
It's really tough. Sort of, when you can get halfway up the path yourself, but it's really tough after that. I found. If you can find a mentor, then you'll just increase your learning curve no end. But in saying that, I found it almost impossible to find a reliable one.
Mm-hmm.
And in this day and age of the internet, how do you know someone's reliable unless you meet them in the flesh and see what they do and sit next to them?
Yeah.
There's not many tests you can just walk in and sit down and watch someone. So I couldn't find one that I actually either connected with or found.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they actually knew trading better than I did at that point in time. So I just stuck it out by myself. Lots of reading, lots of ignoring of forums, and went from there.
Oh, nice. Very nice. When you're getting started, did you have any like heroes or people who inspired you as far as trading?
Not when I started, because I didn't really know much about trading.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know much in the history. Probably sort of halfway through the journey of getting to where I am now, I started reading a lot of stuff from, there's a few people that I liked reading. A lot of the old stuff. I read a lot of Gann, like most people, a lot of the Dow theory stuff, which like most people as well.
Mm-hmm.
But these days, probably people like Ragi Horner is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's got a proven track record and trades in a similar way that I do. Well, I do in a similar way than she does. She's done it 4 times as long as I have. I know Rob Booker's someone that everyone enjoys reading. He's a funny bloke, so if nothing else, he's good for humour.
Mm-hmm.
And he has some good ideas. He thinks outside the box. I mean, I don't take these guys' courses. I don't even speak to them often, but I enjoy reading what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about just opening the mind to a few different methods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, cool. I guess that's kind of a good segue into like how do you trade? Are there any pairs that you like in particular, and what's your primary time frame?
Yeah, I've changed a lot actually. I spent the first, I reckon, 6 years of my trading life just beating down on anyone who traded anything less than an hourly chart. So I traded off hourlies and 4 hourlies for quite a while,
Mm-hmm.
for probably the first 6 years. Once I went full time, I had a $5,000 account, and I had to support myself somewhere. I'm not going to do that on hourlies, so it forced me to go to a 5-minute time frame, which is what I trade now. Anyone who says 5-minute time frames are noise, which I did, well, I'll put it nicely, it's just crap, basically.
Yeah.
It's not just noise, and there's no such thing as just noise unless you're down on second charts, I suppose. But so I trade up 5-minute charts. I trade the Aussie mainly, because I trade mainly through the Asian session. And if I'm trading like tonight in the Euro session, I'll trade the Euro and sometimes the pound. But really, I don't trade many more pairs than that. I don't need to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's pretty interesting. You just have 2 pairs. I think there's a tendency a lot of times for, especially new traders, to get into like 10 different pairs because they think there's going to be more opportunity there, but it's not really the case, is it?
Well, it's not in Forex. It's all, so much of it's based around the US dollar. And even if it's not based around the US dollar, indirectly it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, it looks like there's a lot of pairs, but if you're going to trade something, especially on a 5-minute time frame, you're really restricted to the majors.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're just paying too much in spreads and whatnot.
Yeah.
In which case, it's either revolving around the US dollar or the yen pretty much. So there's no point. Usually if I'm trading the Aussie, the same thing's happening over on the euro or the pound or something very similar. So that'll do me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll stick to one. Just don't have the intention of spending for more than that.
Cool. So like on such a short time frame, I'm sure there's a lot of trades that go on. How do you prevent excessive losses and revenge trading?
A lot of self-development. I think that's something we don't think about as much, but in a lot of the good books you'll read about it, that so much of trading is not so much about the charts. It's a lot about yourself, fighting your own emotions. So in the end, I found I had to change the way I traded. When I traded initially on a 5-minute, I put 10, 12 trades on a day, because I felt like that was what I should be doing. That's work. But I would find that would give me a lot of consistently good days and a couple of absolutely shocking, lose your entire week's profit days. If you just had a run of 3, 4, 5 losers in a row, which is quite common. So I changed myself around now. I trade just the morning, 9:30 till 2:30. I do 2 or 3 trades a day tops. If I've lost 2 or 3 trades, then I stop. At least then my day isn't terrible, and I can certainly make it up in other days.
Mm-hmm.
So usually a two trades a day. If I'm having a good day or a bad day, it would be one, and that's it. But I turn up every day to trade. That's the main thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ah, I see. Very cool. And how much risk do you take on each trade?
At the moment, it's depending on how I feel. If I'm trading well, it's 2%.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not trading well, like this week, or if I'm having a very disjointed week outside of trading, sick kids, that kind of thing, then I'll wind it down to 1% because you're just asking for trouble.
Mm-hmm.
This week's been a classic case of that. So, I'm up very slightly this week, but I'm lucky to be up this week, really, and I'll probably stop trading now, actually. You get the feel in your bones. Most people do. You get it in the gut, but, I'm pushing it.
Yeah.
I'm pushing the here, and I don't know what's going on, and I should just go and watch football or something like that. But we don't tend to listen to it because of the lure of the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be doing that after this interview. If you see me on, slap me around. I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be trading.
Do you do any back testing, or is it kind of just all live and just forward testing your strategies?
I do. No, I do. I have 2 strategies, and one of them is very heavily back tested, manually back tested though. Being a programmer, I don't actually trust some of the back testing software that much. I just know the things that you miss out on, you just don't see unless you're manually doing it. But in saying that, you've got to have some experience behind you so that you don't do the, oh no, I wouldn't have taken that trade kind of thing.
Yeah.
Any losses, yeah. So I have one system that is kind of my fallback system. I know if I'm not trading well or if I'm just not feeling it, then I should just trade that because I know it back tests well.
Mm-hmm.
Stick to it. My other system, it's a loose term states system because it's variant of just winging it with my risk parameters and things I've picked up from watching the market all day, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That I'll trade if I'm feeling confident and I'm sort of in a good space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that the more profitable one?
It is generally.
Oh, okay.
But it can also be, where the biggest losses occur.
Yeah.
But I recommend anyone. You have to back test it to some degree, or you're just not going to have the trust to take a loss.
Mm-hmm.
If you know you can take a loss or 2 or 3, I've had runs, 7, 8, 9 losses in a row. But if you don't know that that's normal in your back testing, you're going to abandon something that is about to give you 7, 8, 9 winners in a row. So, it gets you out of systems at exactly the wrong time, which is why I see so much flip-flopping, on the public forums and with the new guys. Mm-hmm. I guess it's understandable. It's an emotional game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. I guess what do you feel are your greatest strengths and weaknesses as a trader?
Strengths is sticking to my stops, and that's been learned the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Blown accounts, and I wrote a post on my blog the other week about, I think it was 8 or 10 or something, dark trading secrets, and one of those was that I had a trade on the Kiwi a couple of years ago where I didn't take stops, and the thing just ran and ran, and I had a newborn. It was only 6 months old, and I was up at 2, 3 a.m. trying to settle the newborn and watching the Kiwi, so my account didn't blow up. I think it reversed with 5 pips to spare, somewhere around there. It came back, and I was jumping around the lounge. It was the greatest day of my life, I thought. So it didn't blow my account. It doesn't matter that my 6 month is crying and it's 2 a.m. in the morning. That doesn't matter, It reversed, and I've saved my $200 account or whatever it was at the time. Mm-hmm. So since then, that drilled into me. This is get some perspective, son. That's not really the way you're supposed to be trading. So I stick to my stops. I cop a lot of losses in a row sometimes, but as long as my stops are hit, then what can you do?
Yeah.
As long as your execution's right, then you just got to accept it. It's hard work making money. That's the thing. So if you don't stick to a stock and then you wipe out a whole week's worth of trading, that really makes trading suck, especially when you're doing it full time.
Yeah, that's true.
Not many jobs you can work a whole week and lose money, and then tell your wife at the end of the week that you lost money. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I guess that's the toughest part.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess that's a good way to get into talking about your blogging, and I really like your blog because you do a good job of balancing the charts and the analysis with the interesting stories, and I don't see too many blogs out there that really do that. So why did you decide to get into blogging?
I've always been into blogging. Well, I've always been around the internet. So since 1997 or so, I've been on the internet writing in some form or another. So blogging was a natural thing. I've always liked writing as well. And you write about what you love. That's the only thing that gets you writing all the time. So that's why I have a trading blog rather than something else. I'm the same as you. I don't see a lot of blogs around there that give an insight into what goes on in the head of a trader, rather than just, here's a chart and here's a line and here's a squiggly line and that means this is going to do that. That bores me somewhat if you read that continuously. So, I'm a full-time trader, but I'm not going to say I'm a pro trader. I'm no different than a lot of guys, other than maybe I stick to my stocks better and my discipline's been working out a little better. But I like to give that insight that I'm not doing anything special at all. It's quite the opposite. It's all very simple stuff. So
well, that's the thing.
Mainly why I write like I write. Plus, try to write stuff that I actually like to read.
Yeah, and that's why I like your blog and Jessica's blog.
Yeah, there must be something about the Aussie humour or something. But I've had a couple of comments saying you and Jess, you write pretty much the same. I love her blog. Her stuff's brilliant.
Yeah.
Very similar sort of writing, well, not writing style, but the way she puts things is very similar. So, and maybe it's something about the air down here. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Whatever it is, it works well.
Yeah. Sure.
Has that helped your trading in any way?
Yeah, it's a great sounding board. But you got to be honest. I try to be honest on it. So if I have a really bad day, then I'll be putting it up there. If I blow an account, then I'll be telling you that I'll blow an account. It's just a great way to get things off your chest. Yeah, because if you don't, I trade in a garage. I sit out the back in a garage and by myself. I found one trader down the road from me, and that's it. So it's it's a bit of a lonesome sort of experience when you're trading. So it's a great way to just sort of get things off your chest if you're frustrated or if you find things funny or if you see observations. Then it's a great way to write them down and remember them myself. My memory's terrible, so I read a lot of my own blog, which is a bit self-gratification, I suppose. But, just to remind myself a lot of the times, I remember doing that, but not do that again, or quite the opposite. So I'm glad people like to read it. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's true. So most of your trading friends are online then?
Yeah, mainly they are. I had a couple that started and then just didn't make it. That's the thing. Even if you make guys in your area that start trading, they don't tend to last very long. Not because they're not nice people, but they just don't last through trading. Trading's a tough game. So yeah, they're mainly online. That's why I'm on Twitter. I like chatting with people on Twitter and keeps you occupied. And I'm only putting 2 trades on a day, and I'm sitting there for 5 hours. So I've got to do something in the meantime, don't I?
Yeah, I guess so.
So I've watched 4 seasons of The Fringe and all this kind of stuff in the meantime in about a month, just trying to keep myself occupied.
Just keep yourself out of bad trades, huh?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Are there any goals that you have for the blog? Like maybe I saw that you're offering a course now, but do you have any goals beyond that?
No grand plans. No. I'm writing a course at the moment. It's not finished, which is why it's sort of get in for a waiting list kind of scenario at the moment. And it's taking longer than I thought it would, just because I'm finding it hard to articulate exactly the methods that I trade. Apart from the out and out system that I have, apart from that, there's a lot of Oh, there's a lot of grey areas you don't realise until you try to write them down,
Mm-hmm.
which which is a fantastic thing because to objectify it as much as you can is really what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that course. I'm not going to make anyone pay for it. So if anyone wants to sign up, and hopefully it will arrive sometime soon. It's pretty much it. I figure if I can make the money from trading, I don't need to make money through the blog or anything else. I'll put some video up soon,
Mm-hmm.
probably.
Mm-hmm.
See how that's received. I think I mentioned to you actually whether video or the written word's the best way to do it. I know when I was at work and stuff, I can't sit and watch a video, but I
Yeah.
can read an article. So apart from that, no, just lots of honest detailing of what's going on 5 days a week, pretty much,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then a weekly review on a weekend, which a lot of people seem to be enjoying, where I can sort of go through what's happened during the week. I list my results and percentages, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like
yeah,
that 2-tab thing you have where you have the analysis in the beginning of the session and then the other tab is the end of the session.
yeah, yeah. Well, I could say I do that for the readers, but that's for me.
Oh.
That the beginning of the session thing is my way of sitting down, stopping myself trading for the first half an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and getting a gist on what's going on with the market. I mean, of course, I'm not always right. I've been lucky a couple of times, but it's just you got to get a context of where things are, so that you don't get muddled up and start going long, going short, going long, going short, and just ruining a week very quickly. So I found that a really good way to give context, and then the aftermarket tab is just me bragging if I get it right most of the time.
Very cool. I guess I kind of want to shift over to figuring out or trying to see what the trading lifestyle it means to you, I guess. And what do you think is the most important benefit to you to be able to trade for a living?
It's all about family for me.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I've got 2 young kids. I only had 1 young kid when I got cancer, and it was only a couple of weeks from kicking the bucket, as they say, according to the doctors. So, when that happens, it puts it gives you a very good perspective on life, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, anything beyond family, just wasn't important.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why I started working at home as a freelancer, and now I've progressed to being a trader. And being a trader, when you can do it, is great. And there's so much. I don't know, there's a lot of scaremongering out there that it's hard, and it is hard, but the lifestyle is fantastic. There's not many things you can do where you can sit. I mean, like, typical day for me is I sit down at 9:30. I take the kids to school, and I sit down at 9:30, and I'll place a couple of trades, and I'll watch movies in the corner of my monitor, and I'll wind it up at 2:30 and go and play with the kids and
Mm-hmm.
play soccer, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, what job lets you do that? And then the income potential that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many around. So if you can master it, it's worth every obstacle that you have to overcome, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something I definitely want. That's what I'm working towards.
Yeah. Everyone does, I think. But you got to really get a clear vision of that. And I was lucky in the perspective that I got so sick, because it just gives you that vision straight away. Whereas sometimes you can get caught up in everyday life, basically, and forget where you're trying to head. So keep that vision, and it's definitely worth it. Even if you just earn the same income that you earned in your previous job, doesn't matter. The lifestyle gives you is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How about your wife? Does she trade at all, or does she understand what you do? No.
No. She tries. She's so supportive, which is such a benefit to me, especially starting with such a small account. That was the hugest thing. It takes a lot of trust. But no, I tried to teach her a little, but it's not something that appeals to her, and that's fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame her, I suppose. But she's patient. She doesn't ask me how I go through the week. I said, just don't ask me until the weekend. It can change, I'll be up one day and down the next day, so just don't ask me.
Yeah.
And she doesn't, and that's fantastic. As long as you get support from your other half, whoever that is, then you can't ask much more, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So what do you like to do in your free time outside of trading?
Sport.
Uh-huh.
Aussie, so come on. What else am I going to do? I play soccer. I try to do triathlons. Not so successful this year, but it comes down to my health most of the time. So I do that. I do a lot of reading. Best thing I ever did was buy a Kindle. It's just fantastic thing. So I read constantly. Not always about trading. Actually, most of the time these days, not at all about trading. A lot about self-development, which I guess helps anyway.
Yeah.
Different ways to do things, time efficiency, all that kind of stuff. Just learning to do things a bit different. I think I'm an entrepreneur at heart, actually. Haven't got myself to start anything up other than my trading career, which will do, I suppose.
I see. You got any good book suggestions right now?
What am I reading at the moment? I have my Kindle with me, so I'm not real good at remembering them. Good ones. Well, a trading book would be a book called Marlborough on Markets, which I love, and I'm just looking at my bookshelf to see. It's one of my few that I read that's not on the Kindle. Written by an old currency / everything trader, actually. But he has a real good perspective that most of the stuff you read on the news is crap, and most of the talking heads, that's all they are, and not being so precise about your trading. Something that changed my trading a lot was his concept of you can support and resistance still holds even if it breaks, as long as it's within X, Y parameters. So for him, he had a certain percentage, I can't remember what it was now. But it's not a line on a chart, it's an area. So that changed a lot. So that stopped me jumping in on supposed breakouts. It keeps you out on some of those fakes that you get, some of the head fakes. What else is there? Oh, anything by Daryl Guppy is a good read if anyone's after an Aussie trader. He's a stocks trader, but he's a really good one. So is Louise Bedford. Both good authors from Australia. Actually, I think Jess is quite familiar with Louise Bedford. Probably it. I can't think of some of the other ones I'm reading on the Kindle. It dawned on me. Eckhart Tolle's always a good one. The Power of Now, all his kind of stuff. That's a heavy read.
I'll check it out. That sounds good. Just a couple more questions. What's a common trait that or the biggest common trait you see in successful traders?
Patience, I would say, would be number one. And equal to that would be humility, I would think. I've found anytime I start bragging my trading, the market beats me down. Like nobody's business. I mean, I know it's not linked, or maybe it's linked because it's my psychology, but there's no point. Who are you bragging to and for what purpose? So humility and patience are two, and I would say discipline, but I think discipline comes out of that. You can't just tell someone to be disciplined. That's a process to be disciplined. But in terms of virtues and traits that you could have, that would be the two that I find most common anyway.
Yeah, I totally find that too when I start bragging about trade, then I go on a bad streak.
Yeah, it always happens. It's probably linked to the concept of overconfidence and that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you'll never see me tweet, oh yeah, I've gone short and I'm up, blah, 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 anymore. I did that on occasion, so yeah, guaranteed to fail straight after.
So I guess the last one is, what do you feel is the biggest secret to your success?
Perseverance. Yeah, I mean, this has taken me 8 years to go pro or to go full time, and that's a long time. That's twice as long as or probably almost twice as long to be a doctor or something like that. It's
yeah,
and that's not 8 years of off and on. That's 8 years of constant sort of study and trying this and trying that. And in the end, I've pretty much fallen back to what I was probably doing in the first 2 years. But until you gain the experience and realize that all those other shining lights out there aren't actually that bright after all.
Yeah.
And it's really just supply, demand, and price action for me, anyway. But I wouldn't have discovered that unless I went through what I went through for the last 5-6 years. So yeah, just keep persevering. There are people out there that do it, and they're not economic majors, and they haven't sat next to a pro trader for their whole life. So you can do it. You just got to try hard. Stick with it.
That's a great message. So I guess ending on that, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking all the time to talk to us and teach us what you've learned so far.
Thanks, Hugh. You're going to have to try to get some other traders that aren't from Australia, though. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
A secret desire to head down here or something.
Could be. Even Chris Laurie he's a Canadian, but he was in Australia. So I don't know what's going on.
He must be just on some crazy biological clock.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Hugh.
Yep.
Catch you later.
And that's our show. Thanks again to Adam for coming on. I found it really interesting to hear about how he trades and his thought process, and I hope you learned a lot from him also. Don't forget, like he mentioned, he is coming out with a free How to Trade the Asian Session ebook. So get on his mailing list, and he'll send that out when he's ready. His blog is at whennotwhere.com, and he reviews his trades weekly, as well as gives some thoughts on the market. And he's a funny guy, so it's always an amusing read. So I would check it out. And you can also follow him on Twitter and Google+. I will link to those places on the show notes also. And if you're looking to learn how to backtest your trades and practice your trading, I also have a free course on how to do that and go through that process. You can just sign up for the email list on tradingheroes.com. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Trading Lifestyle Podcast. Keep an eye out for the next one. And thanks for listening.